here today to talk about anxiety ridiculousness. And what I mean by that is if you Google long list of phobias, which can be a really long list, and there are a lot of ridiculous fears on it. And of course they're not ridiculous to the person who experiences the anxiety, but in general they're kind of ridiculous. Like the fear of having peanut butter stick to the roof of your mouth, the fear of the color yellow. There's probably a phobia of every single color. Social phobias, fear of feet. There's a phobia, fear of feet. Just random things that you really have no reason to fear. I can understand being afraid of like being hit by a semi-truck in the middle of traffic. That's kind of a rational fear, especially if you've been in a car accident or almost been in a car accident. But we come up with such really bizarre anxieties, and it really shows that we're deciding it, we're choosing it, we're saying this is what I'm afraid of. And it doesn't have to be that way. And I really put this to the test because I used to be very, very afraid of spiders. And I think a lot of people are scared of spiders because in general they're just creepy, crawly, and they're not fun. So I think everyone can, understand why I would have a fear of spiders. But I didn't want to have this fear anymore because it was crippling. It was, if I saw a spider, it would take me half an hour to kill it because during that time I'm having a panic attack and I'm trying to kill it. And I'm talking like kill it by throwing things from very far away or maybe trying to beat it with a broom, which really doesn't do anything, and then it falls and then it runs in the carpet and that freaks you out more. So, it was just ridiculous. It was getting out of control. And I remember one day, this isn't going to help people with arachnophobia, so if you haven't, skip this part. But one day I went into my shower and I turned around and there was a massively large black widow spider hanging from a spider web like half an inch from my shoulder. That terrified me, absolutely petrified me. And the house that I lived in at the time was just filled, massively infested with spiders. It was terrible. I wouldn't even sit on the floor because if I sat on the floor, they'd crawl on my legs. So really not a pleasant experience, and it just exacerbated the anxiety, but it really showed me just how scared of spiders I was. And I spent about 3.5 months living with my brother, and his house had a lot of spiders. And I would go to sleep at night and I would feel something crawling on my leg. It was that bad. So I had to learn, especially then, to deal with it. And that was, I think, the turning point for me where I just decided it's kind of a fact of life that there's spiders in the world. And so I was going to do what I could to overcome it. And I did what I had to survive being around spiders, but I didn't really overcome the anxiety of them until, probably a year later when I just started learning about them and I'm looking at photos of them, and they're actually pretty fascinating and some of them are pretty darn cool looking. But I've heard that the more you learn about something, that the less afraid of it you become. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I know in my case, the more that I saw them, the more that I learned about them, the less afraid I was. And I would chalk that up to desensitization. Instead of just seeing them, crawling on me at night or on the wall or whatever, I was learning about them. And I was learning that they're not all bad. They're not, they're useful in society. Okay, not in society, they're useful in nature. But, the more you learn about them, the more you're getting to know what it is that you're afraid of, it does desensitize you. And then you can take steps forward to introduce it to you in reality instead of just learning about it, maybe in my case, being around a spider, or instead of panicking while killing one, trap it and take it outside. There are steps you can take, just like with everyday anxiety, just to overcome anxiety. Take that step forward and continue to push yourself past the anxiety and don't let yourself regress back. So whatever your ridiculous anxiety is, like in my case it was arachnophobia, take steps forward to desensitize yourself against it. Nudge yourself forward in overcoming that anxiety, and eventually you realize it really wasn't that big of a deal to begin with. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. You'll have your families.
If only I had none. If I shared my worries,